Hey, Viola Rules here, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. So we were looking over the ID record trying to pinpoint when Detective Goodman could have been killed, and as we found out earlier, Miles Edgeworth did go to the evidence room as requested by Damon Gant, and it seems that the judge has latched on to that since his timestamp is immediately before Officer Meekins. Miles Edgeworth? Just what have you done? I never figured you had nerve, boy. Put off the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. People in this game, they aren't really known for their ability to think, Edgeworth. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminal tests that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Okay, so we actually don't have to argue with the court about that. Good. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one that we haven't identified. There's only one other card number remaining. 7777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make it sense. How could Officer Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. Why? At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into a person's identity. Who came up with that rule? Oh, he probably did. But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask a question. Yes. No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 7777777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL-9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Oh, Lana's on the stand now. Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, Did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't! I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why don't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. So they did use false evidence. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. No way. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. That means Edgeworth's being convicted of forging evidence that one time was correct. Lana's remarks caused such a stir that the chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day, because we always have to do 3 days. To be continued. Wow. Because remember, the rumor mill started because of that case saying that Edgeworth used forged evidence, and he actually did. I don't think he was aware that he did, though. Oh man, I feel so bad for him. All he wants to do is do his job, and people keep screwing it up for him. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL-9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Yeah, how are you so behind, Venus? I know you're new, but still. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you. Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. But wait. Hold on a second. What do you mean you didn't see that one coming? You looked at the file, right? Yeah, witnesses. Lana Sky and Emma Sky. How are you this oblivious, Phoenix? Anyway, I guess we need to talk to her about that. Also, I realize I keep calling it SL-9. You can just call it SL9. It works too. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day. Unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Oh, that sounds familiar. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Yeah, we've had this established already. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? Let's ask about after the incident. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. There has to be a reason why she did that. I know she said that she wanted the guy to be found guilty, but something else seems to be missing from this puzzle. What did you see in that instant the crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently, I passed out. Hey, this sounds a lot like the case that we just did with Edgeworth being trapped in the elevator with his father and Yanni, doesn't it? When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. Aw, that's sweet. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. Something puzzling. What's on your mind, Phoenix? There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices in the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly! Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was a detective and she was promoted to chief prosecutor? She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Oh, well. Lana used to be a detective? Oh, is that why all the other detectives hate her? Because afterwards they all got demoted or fired and she got this huge promotion to this really prestigious title? I'd better have another talk with her. Okay, so it looks like we're going to the detention center, so let's move. Yep. Yeah, no wonder all the other former detectives are really salty. Hello. Oh, Lana. Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't play foul. Why should we? But, Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you.
Oh?
About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL-9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office.
That's right.
Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs?
I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright.
Okay, at least she's willing to talk to us. I guess we can talk about today's trial first. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen. I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be.
That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth.
It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department.
Tell me it's not true, Lana, what the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us?
Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago.
She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together.
Chief Gant? Then he was the vice head of criminal affairs, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be.
They were the best team ever! They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed.
Oh wow. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was
to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could later use that experience in court.
Gant's help in the SL9 case was critical in its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. Yeah, let's ask about the Dark investigation. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the chief detective was no doubt Damon Gant. Yes, Detective Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Well, that was the first time he worked with his brother, and the last. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when the last murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma.
Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark.
You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. First one at scene. Detective Gant and Prosecutor Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages when Dark must have panicked. He waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Detective Gant and myself.
That's where he found me.
So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies. Prosecutor Marshall, the victim Emma who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her, after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL-9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident, just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall, yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself, the Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL-9 murder. Ooh, how though? Can we just walk in? Well, anyway, it's time to go to the police department, right? So, will criminal affairs take me to the police department? I don't know. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kind of quiet around here today. You're right. The head of the department seems the same, though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right. We can come back here later. I do like that the game indicates when you've gone to a location you're not supposed to be in. Okay, here we go. We can get to the police department through here. Okay. Oh, hello. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. Que Sarah, you never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck ran out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But, Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I need to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. I guess that's a way of saying that he'll talk, despite not wanting to. Tell us about the Dark trial. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me, either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean, fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there is a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. Oh. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL-9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he, your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You don't mean... the king of prosecutors. Not that again. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL-9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently, someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. Tell us about the scars. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambino. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Yeah, it seems they had an arrangement or something. Chief Detective Damon Gant and his second-in-command Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret? It all started 2 years ago. So, there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. That animation was new. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. I feel bad for him. But, oh well. So, where are we going now? Criminal Affairs Department, maybe? This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, you're looking for the others. They're all in the conference room. Hello. Thanks. Wow, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media and tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just head across the hall to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the Chief's office. Okay, and we will head to the Chief's office in the next episode. If you guys enjoyed this one, give this video a like. Also be sure to like my Facebook page and follow me on Twitter, as well as support my Patreon and check out my reaction channel. All those links will be in the description below. And subscribe for more. And if you are subscribed or a new subscriber right now, be sure to hit that bell icon so you're notified when I upload videos. This is Viola Rules, signing off. Talk to you later.